Well, as we had indicated, we are delighted to have Dr. Julian Rowa, social analyst, in studio. Thank you very much for joining us, Dr.
Thank you so much, Tom, for having me.
We now know the fifth regime, 14 days in. We know who's in the cabinet, and I want to get your first reaction, by the way, to that cabinet.
Interesting. I'll only say too soon to call.
Yeah?
In another 30 days,
yeah,
we will know how good they are.
So we give them time to settle?
Yeah, we give them time to settle.
Okay.
Yeah, but there will be one or two comments one can make about the composition.
Yeah.
It's a good effort at, blending experience and youthfulness.
Yeah.
And I think that's really refreshing.
Yeah.
I'm still struggling with whether it was a question of reward of loyalty.
Yeah.
Vis-a-vis meritocracy.
Yeah.
But again, like I say, in the fullness of time,
yeah,
we'll be able to tell that it was the best choice he had, based on the plans that they'll be able to share with the country.
Yeah, but also we are told that loyalty is currency in politics. Do you think? How do you think he performed on that front? Did he nail it?
On that front, he nailed it, because I thought all the pledges that he made, he actually delivered on them. He has been very consistent on that. But whether the political currency is sufficient to deliver on his ambitious promise under the manifesto of Kenya Kwanza, that will be something that we'll call to a review in a period of 30 to 90 days. Yeah.
But broadly speaking, and you alluded to it, that there's a sense in which Kenyans feel, yes, he captured the face of the nation. So going forward, you say time will tell, but what do you expect to see?
Well, I mean, the few people that I've been able to engage with during this period of transition have told me that he means business, that he really wants to take a different direction and take the country towards a totally different trajectory. I'm convinced that that they will do a good job. But we have to give it time again, like I said. In my thinking as a corporate person, about 30 days for them to share with us their plans within their dockets as cabinet secretaries, relative to, of course, the manifesto that they unveiled some times back.
Yeah.
Then again, give them about 60 to 90 days to put the infrastructure that they need in place to deliver on whatever commitments they'll have given us in the next 30 days.
True.
Then again, let's have a sit down in 12 months.
In 12 months.
And do an audit.
But how easy is it, for someone of your background to tell the direction that a president is heading based on the quick decisions that you're seeing being made in the early days of a presidency?
I think the most important thing with some of the things that he does, it sets the tone. I've listened to him talk about, you must be prepared. It's going to be a tough ride going forward. There's a lot of expectation on all those who have been elected under his umbrella, the umbrella party. I remember him talking about be prepared to appear before Parliament to answer difficult questions. Yeah. That sets the tone. Yeah. And so anybody now who takes up that position knows that it's not going to be simple, and they have to be very prepared for the challenge ahead.
In fact,
so I think the tone is very well set.
It's very well said. In fact, I think when he was flagging off even the relief food, he said, look, guys, we have early warning mechanisms in place. We can tell that we're going to run into trouble.
Precisely.
So why don't we adapt the plan ahead approach rather than reactive? And he was hoping that that's going to be the last event that he has to flag relief food to Kenyans. I
am also hoping so. Like I talked about, my view is that he's going to be taking a different direction.
Yeah.
The country will be taking a totally different trajectory in how things get done.
Yeah.
I don't see it as business as usual. And remember that he has come amid a cloud of so much controversy. The issues that they had in the previous administration. He has a lot to prove.
Yeah.
This is the time for him to prove, and I have no doubt in my mind that he will want to prove most of us wrong.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You talk of the previous, administration, and we did see him retain Simon Chelugu, the current Labour cabinet secretary.
Yeah.
And he's the only man standing in this administration. What does that mean, by the way?
There must be something really special about Chelugu.
Because I was hearing on this big machine called social media, people were saying, Matiang'i, maybe not. But he retained it.
I've just asked a critical friend to share with me the profile of the appointees so that I can have a better critical appraisal of what they're about and what it is they're bringing to the role that they have been given. I want to believe that Chelugois must be very colorful. Yeah. So I'm waiting to see what that will look like. My biggest disappointment was on Karone. Farida Karone. For some reasons, I thought that she did very well in her docket in Learns. And if there's any one person that I also thought that would be retained in this cabinet was Farida.
Why? Because of the digitization programs that she initiated?
Yeah, there's a bit of sanity that came into the Ministry of Lands. My last dealings with them appeared to be a lot more professional in approach and all of that. And they appeared to be very switched on in terms of what they want to do. That's my own assessment. So, and don't forget that land is not an easy place to manage. Previous ministers have struggled to deliver on that document. Yeah, so she's one person that I thought, for all intents and purposes, that she'll make it back. But
who else do you see in this lineup who has that kind of radical muscle, you know, that is required to withstand? Because you see, there's also the 10,000-pound gorilla in the room.
Exactly, corruption. Yeah. I have a very good feeling about Murkomen, Kipchumba Murkomen. He's been very, very aggressive out there about what he expects in terms of governance, and he was very vocal when there was this fallout. So in Murkomen, I also see somebody who may really want to support the president to deliver on his aspiration and objectives for the country. So I'm persuaded that Murkomen may surprise us. I don't know the extent of his experience managing at that level, but I have this conviction that he may surprise us. The additional inclusion that excites me very much is that of Mudavadi as Chief Minister. I think Mudavadi,
why does that surprise you?
I think Mudavadi...
I think you're dedicated, isn't it?
Yeah,
during the campaigns that he was going to be.
But I like his inclusion because to me he gives it a sense of balance. Yeah, he brings in, when I talked about experience, that is what I draw from the man. And I'm persuaded that with Mudavadi there, the country will be moving to the right direction.
But let me ask you, did you look at Mudavadi's job description and the Deputy President job description?
Yes, I did.
I mean, I almost felt like, oh, okay, is there an overlap there? But I was not sure. I need time to go and really look at it with more detail.
I believe they have the right level of intellect to know, how to divide what their roles will be. It's not for the president to now go into the detail to tell you this is how you're going to operate. This is how you... I mean, the deputy president has been in administration for long. Mudavadi has been in government for long. So I know things around communication, delineation of responsibilities. I don't think that's beyond them to do.
They're political offices.
They are political offices, but that chaos is also good sometimes. Just a bit of chaos, where sometimes there's a bit of an overlap. It forces us to really wake up to the reality of what we need to do and force us to sit and talk.
But do we see a potential overlap of roles? Because, people in politics always carve out their territories.
I don't doubt there'll be an overlap of roles, but I'm strongly persuaded that that is something they can go beyond. I've opined before that we are now out of the political side of things. We are now inside the management and governance aspect of things. And this is where we're going to see a totally separate skill sets being displayed by the people who have been charged with the responsibility of governing the country. So I am not worried about the overlap. I'm not foreseeing any situation where there's going to be a dispute that cannot be resolved. But if the dispute is for the common good of the Kenyan man,
so be it.
That's good kills.
Let me ask you. You talk of skill set, and of course you marry it with knowledge capital. And then you look at the health docket, someone who's been picked from corporate. What are you seeing? And health is big also.
The beauty, in my view, at that level, you are a leader. You oversight policy. And you're accountable to the president in that particular docket. Now, working with you are the technocrats who support you to deliver on the ground. So my take would be, it does not matter where you come from, but do you have the requisite attributes? Do you have the requisite skills? Do you have the requisite competencies to be able to lead a team of people and deliver on the aspirations of the government? So long as those competences can be found in that particular person, I can trust them to deliver on that particular...
Even in an environment that is 100% high voltage politics.
In fact, that is even better. So now she'll be called upon to put up the right infrastructure. She'll be called upon to put up the right kind of information systems. She'll be called upon to put up... Because at the end of the day, I believe the president expects delivery. So the question of there are these cartels of this nature or that nature that are impeding me from delivering on my objective, that will no longer sell. The machinery to help you get those cartels out of town, I believe there's goodwill on the part of the government to make your work easy. So I don't think there's a chance for any excuses. I'm looking at a totally new dispensation.
And a president who wakes up very early.
And the president who wakes up very early has discipline around work ethics that forces all of the other players within his cabinet to do the same. Although for me, either whether you wake up very early or you sleep very late, it doesn't really make a difference for me. For me, what is important is the impact, the output, and the outcomes.
Let me ask you, do you think this 22-member cabinet, if you go back and look at the promises that the president made during the campaign, all right? And I'm walking this one very carefully. Do you think he fell short of actualizing the 50% that he promised the women folk in the cabinet? I don't know, there are 7.
There are 7.
Yeah.
So the 1/3 gender rule, I think he has met it, if we are to be fair to him.
Yeah.
The 50%, in my view, that was way too ambitious because there are so many dynamics the president has to balance. We talk about regional balance, we talk about settling political debts, if there are. He talks about technocrats that you also need to bring into government. That's not an easy equation to balance. Yeah, and the flip side to this conversation, what you've just alluded to, is there's so much fixation on women representation, the gender role. My take is it does not matter. If 100% of the cabinet would be women and they can all deliver on the objectives of the government, so be it.
So be it.
If 100% of those appointed are men and they can equally agitate or voice the interests of women, so be it. So, Tom, I think this conversation around gender balance, we are beating it too hard.
You're beating it too hard?
Yeah, we are beating it too hard.
You know, if the former president of America had to say that, because I remember he said, if there are no women or if there are no men in the team, then half the team is behind.
I'm not saying women are not important. Neither am I saying that men are not important. I'm simply saying that we must remove ourselves of this psyche, that this balance is more important or more critical. It's more critical than getting the right people to get the job done. And that includes regional balance.
Yeah, that's true.
My position is that it does not matter from which part of the country these cabinet secretaries come from. The important thing is that at the farthest side of the country where they don't belong, are they able to still impact the citizenry the way they would those within their own domains. So for me, those are the issues we should be discussing, but not the regional representation or the gender balance. That does not make sense.
Tell me, this list of 22 members he has proposed, Parliament has to come in. Parliament is the machine that now subjects all of them to scrutiny.
Correct.
Okay? And there are a lot of things around some of them, all right? Some judicial in nature and stuff like that. What do you see in the horizon? You know, Parliament sometimes, given the fact that the way Parliament has been set up currently, you know, it may just be...
Unfortunately, you're right, because the way Parliament has been structured now, and I say this with tremendous respect, it will be acting at the behest of the President. If you're thinking about the opposition, in my view, it's way too weak to present any meaningful opposition. That's what I think. So I think all the nominees, irrespective of what baggage they carry in those appointments, they'll carry the day within the veto.
Regarding the other factors remaining?
All other factors remaining constant. But should a private citizen go to court,
then it changes. Then
we will see a big problem, because I am convinced that the judicial we have today is so independent that they'll look at the issues with the merit that they deserve. So those who know that they're carrying baggages, they should pray that common Kenyan citizens do not go to court to challenge their appointment, because if they do, the Kenyan will win.
The Kenyan will win.
Yeah, he will win. So that's the other dynamic, and Parliament should be prepared for that.
So when you look ahead, then this is a president who seems to really, you know, he knows where he wants to go. So he's worked backwards. He's worked backwards.
He knows what he wants to do. I think he's also made considerations to 2027. But I'll still throw the challenge back at him and the administration he has put in place. Politics is behind us. It's now about management and governance. So what we are more interested in as a citizenry now, it's delivery and the impacts that comes from some of the things that he made in his promises and commitments.
One of the ways to deliver, by the way, is to be checked, all right? To have a robust opposition. And I sort of worried when you said we have a weak opposition. What do you mean?
Very weak. First, and I say this again with tremendous respect, handshake as we knew it technically killed opposition. Handshake has now become very fashionable. And it comes with its own consequences. When you stretch your hands to your opposing side and say, you know, let's work together, essentially what you're saying is support my agenda of the day. That said, it makes the issue of oversight and policing very difficult. So we'll see less and less people show voices of dissent in this particular parliament going forward, and that is because the president is very intent of making his agenda go through. I don't see, for lack of a better word, I don't see the opposition being credible. And you can see even from the very weak showing they did storming IEBC the other day, it was clearly not well thought through. And if that is the kind of opposition that they intend or rather that's the kind of opposition agenda they intend to carry on with, it will come a cropper.
So well, my reading of that statement that he just made is then that perhaps there is need to collapse back to the drawing board and rejig, tweak things here a little bit?
That will be important. And I would like the president to take the lead on that. He's been very passionate about wanting to be checked, but he must try and help the institutions charged with that responsibility to do that. He must help us, because I think I can tell you, Tom, being in the opposition is no longer fashionable. That's what I think. Oh, we don't have the appetite for it.
Look, you know why I laughed?
Yeah.
I laughed because, I mean, you're in a contest.
Yeah.
And so you're seeing your opponent taking a rope, putting the rope on his neck, and you're telling him, hey, don't stop, that rope might hurt you. I mean, that's why I was laughing. Is that even a possibility? Because it's in the interest of the president to, you know, he has an agenda, he wants to push it through.
Exactly.
And the less the opposition, the merrier for him.
He needs the numbers to push his agenda in Parliament. So I don't think he's doing anything untoward. But I'm just taking him on his word when he says that he wants to be checked. So if we want to be checked, please help us, because we are helpless at the moment. We have an opposition that is dysfunctional.
Okay.
Help us facilitate that opposition to work again. Yeah.
Listen, you said how many days? How many days should we meet here and discuss? Now we have the 22-member cabinet.
30
when
days.
we get back with you, then we have that
30
conversation.
days for every CS to give us their plans.
30 days.
For every CS to give us their plans, because 30 days is enough for them to induct themselves with the role that they've been given.
So we come back here in 30 days?
So 30 days.
And then we assess.
After 30 days, another 90 days to put up the infrastructure that will help deliver on to their objective.
Do you promise to be here in 30 days?
In 30 days, I'll be here.
Yeah, today is the 27th.
Exactly, but we will do an audit of their performance in 12 months.
Yeah, I've written here.
Yeah.
We do an audit
of their performance in 12 months.
In 12 months.
Yeah.
But we meet here in 30 days.
We meet here in 30 days.
Can I thank you, Dr.
Thank you so much.
For always coming in. Asante sana.
Thank you for having me.
Dr.